Today, we're diving into something that a lot of high achievers will probably recognize, even if they don't have a name for it. We're going to explore the architecture of hyper-independence.
So, let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar at all? You're completely buried in some task, the pressure's on, and you just know that one simple question could get you unstuck, but you just can't do it. You won't ask. Now, to anyone watching, it might just look like stubbornness, maybe a little bit of pride, but what's really going on is so much deeper. To really get it, let's follow a day in the life of a professional we're going to call Alex.
All right, so it's morning, and the scene is probably one you know well. A desk that's overflowing, a bunch of deadlines all screaming for attention, and that just overwhelming feeling. A colleague, totally well-meaning, walks by, sees the stress and says, "Hey, need a hand?" Alex flashes a smile, says, "I've got it, thanks," and immediately turns back to the computer. And just like that, the invisible shield is up.
And here's the thing you've got to understand. This isn't just Alex being difficult. That reaction is automatic. It's a deeply wired defense mechanism that the brain has spent years, maybe even decades, perfecting, and it built it for a very, very good reason.
This brings us to the big idea for today, hyperindependence. And what's key here is that it's not a personality flaw. It's a functional response. It gets built piece by piece from past experiences where emotional support was, well, spotty at best, unreliable. And the brain learned a really powerful lesson from that. Relying on other people is a gamble. It's a risk.
So let's fast forward to midday. The pressure's building. Alex is deep into a really tough project, just hitting wall after wall. Now, there are people to collaborate with, to ask for help, but Alex just keeps pushing forward completely alone. And this is where the origin story of that shield is so important. This whole pattern often starts way back, in environments where a kid's needs were consistently ignored or maybe even dismissed.
And that really is the heart of it all. This isn't something you consciously decided to do. It was a survival tactic that your brain figured out. See, when you learned you couldn't consistently count on others for what you needed emotionally, your brain just, well, it stopped asking. It was safer that way.
Over time, that experience can lead to this quiet but incredibly powerful core belief that settles deep inside you. My needs just aren't that important. Psychologists link this to insecure attachment, and it has this ripple effect that fundamentally shapes how you see your own value in pretty much all of your adult relationships. Okay, now it's afternoon. Alex's boss comes over with some constructive feedback on the project. It's not harsh, it's not negative, it's just normal professional guidance. But for Alex, this is a massive trigger. It pulls back the curtain on the brain's really interesting protective logic.
See, this is where this powerful bias kicks in. If you're running on a hyper-independent operating system, your mind is basically a prediction machine for disappointment. Asking for help doesn't feel like teamwork, it feels like admitting you're a burden. And your brain's logic says, well, if I'm a burden, rejection is right around the corner. So it predicts loss before it can even happen.
And what's wild is this all happens in a split second. Let's just walk through this autonomy loop for a minute. Step 1, someone offers you help. But boom, step 2, your brain immediately skips to the end and predicts rejection, predicts that you'll be seen as a burden. So step 3, that shield of autonomy, that automatic "I got it," is activated. And finally, step 4, the help gets refused to avoid that risk. It's a lightning-fast self-preservation instinct.
So let's be really clear here, because there's a huge difference between healthy independence and hyper-independence. Healthy independence means you're capable, you're competent, but you're also open to getting support. You see collaboration as a strength. But with hyper-independence, that exact same offer of support feels like a threat. Any outside guidance can feel intrusive, not because you're arrogant, but because the only person you learned you could truly 100% rely on was you. So you just stay quiet and say it's fine, even when it's really, really not.
And that brings us to the end of Alex's day. The office is dark, it's empty, and Alex is still there, completely exhausted, but finally finishing that project. Alone. And this scene, this is where we see the really high, often hidden, cost of that protective shield.
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's a central paradox. You work so hard to be low maintenance, to never be a burden, so that people will want to keep you around. You become a master at hiding what you need. But in trying to avoid being left, you end up creating this profound sense of isolation around yourself.
And the consequences of this are massive. I mean, think about it. You never show your struggles, so you become really easy to overlook. People genuinely have no idea how heavy the weight you're carrying actually is. This often leads to this cycle where you're constantly overgiving, just trying to prove your value, which, no surprise, leads to total and complete burnout.
So as Alex is finally heading home, the adrenaline from the day starts to wear off.
And there's finally a quiet moment for reflection. And this is where we get to what might be the single most important part of this whole explainer. Understanding that this is not about fixing something that's broken.
Seriously, I want you to just let this one sink in for a second. This entire mechanism, this whole shield, it's not a character flaw. It's not a weakness. It's the result of a mind that learned how to protect itself in an incredibly sophisticated way. You're not being difficult. You are expertly navigating a world where, at some point, you learned that you had to be your own safest harbor.
And that's why this matters so much. Because the moment you stop judging the behavior and start to truly understand the why behind it, you can finally start to see yourself with a little more clarity and a lot more compassion. And that awareness, that's everything. It's the first step. So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Your mind masterfully built this shield for a very good reason, to protect you. The real question then isn't, how do I tear this thing down? The much more important question is, what would it take for you to feel safe enough to slowly and very gently start to lower it?